Okay, each of them will be given 3 minutes to give a personal introduction on their background, what they're doing, what their goals are. Okay, so Mark first, and then Greg for 3 minutes each. And the timekeeper's over there.
Okay, so managed retreat.
No, introduction.
Oh,
Candidate introduction.
Okay, I'm Mark Hubbell. I've lived here for 37 years. I live in the District 4, back of the valley. And I've been involved with, the city politics as often as I can be. And, I really love Pacifica, and that's why I decided to run.
Okay, give it to Greg.
Hello, my name is Greg Wright. For those of you who don't know you, I too am running for District 4 City Council. I kind of thought of this walking into here as a big giant job interview, and you all are the hiring committee. And so I figured I should start by telling you a little bit about me and what it is, what experience it is that I bring to the table on how I can be most effective in helping represent your needs. I started in my life of service with a lot of very simple things. Started coaching recreational soccer. I started coaching my daughter's basketball team. Very successful in basketball, by the way, but it wasn't long before I wasn't allowed to do that anymore as a parent. So from there I moved on to refereeing. Refereeing taught me judgment. It also made me a fair arbiter of a lot of situations. From there I became a referee mentor. I had the opportunity to educate particularly some Pacifica youth on how to become referees. The coaching taught me leadership. That is something that I bring to the table. I also have worked on a couple of nonprofit boards, over a decade of service on both. Locally, I've been on Pacifica United Soccer Board. I'm the longest serving member on the board. I primarily have been dealing with the fields there in order to make sure that our youth have an opportunity to have extracurricular activities. I think this is extremely important. I know how influential it was to my daughter and raising her here. In addition to that, I've served on a nonprofit school board for the German School of San Francisco for over 10 years. I helped shepherd both of these nonprofits through the crisis of COVID. They both survived, and frankly, they both came out the other side stronger than we went in. That's a major accomplishment. Lastly, I've been on the Planning Commission. That taught me to grasp a huge amount of information and come to good decisions. It also has allowed me to build relationships and understand a little bit more about how the city works. I want to bring all that experience to bear and show you what it is that I can do for you. I invite you all to come see me in action on Monday night at the Quarry. Should be a packed room just like this.
Okay, managed retreat concerns regarding an unconstitutional taking under the Fifth Amendment. Well, I'm not a legal person. I don't understand that one quite, but I've been to every single meeting on this issue, going back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years probably. I haven't missed one. I haven't missed any of the office meetings or any of those. And, it's a really tough situation. I mean, no other way to put it. It's a really tough situation. But when I look at it from an analytical point of view, I don't see where we've ever had hired independent geologists or shoreline experts or any of those things, to give us any sort of definitive answers. And we use this company that does the design work, and they give us, their expertise, but they have a financial, stake in that game. And I think one thing that would really make a huge difference if we did hire professional geologists to come here, shoreline geologists, and let us know, how much is the sea going to rise, how far up is it going to go, at what date, we just don't have that. and that's terrible. So, anyways, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Mark. As far as managed retreat goes, we have a big issue out there. It's sitting right out there. You can see it from here. It's coming. And we have a huge problem over there at the Clarendon Gap. We have flooding that's going on. We have overtopping on Beach Boulevard. We need to have a plan. If we don't have a plan, it's a disaster. Is managed retreat the absolute best plan there is to deal with this situation and address it? Not necessarily. Does it mean that we can't improve on it? Absolutely, we can improve on it. But having no plan is worse. I'm a big advocate for the seawall project. I do think the cost of not doing the seawall project to buy us time to have more opportunities to implement natural adaptive strategies. We need to protect our infrastructure over there. Not doing something like that will actually in the end up costing us a lot more money than if we do address that. We need to partner with people like the two gentlemen that were just here and try to bring in some revenue to address these issues from the federal government. We need to be able to bring in some money and revenue from the state in order to address these things. I look forward to forwarding those relationships and try to build those relationships in order to get some help here that we so desperately need. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to acknowledge Peter Tulowski for the Tribune, and Half Bay Review just walked in, okay? And believe it or not, we don't have a lot of questions here for the city council candidates. So is there anybody who would raise, yeah, anybody? Yeah, I know, but I'm, okay, all right. This one, I don't know how appropriate it is for the city council people, but what would you do to protect and promote our LGBTQ community and trans youth? So, Greg, you went first last time.
I absolutely do think that we need to support and protect our LGBT youth. My wife and I are godparents to a plastic surgeon's son who does a lot of transitional surgeries. I'm a big proponent of these kind of issues and have an intimate understanding and concern about these kind of things. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm certainly not against it. And I would do anything I could do to support on a local level, in addition to, once again, partnering with our other local Bay Area governments. Thank you.
My answer would be that in the United States, we have a constitution that guarantees that all citizens are equal under the law. And I think we just need to enforce that people should not be, put out or how would I say, kept from doing things, because we do have that in the Constitution, and I'm a firm believer in our Constitution. Thank you.
Okay, what steps, this is also asked of the congressional candidates, what steps will you take to help reduce aircraft noise and pollution over our homes? Mark?
Well, I think we have a committee that's doing a really good job of that. I see good reports. To be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that question. They know the answer to that question. They've been working on it for a long time, and I guess they have been negotiating with the airport, and I thought that some of that was being successful. So, I think that's the best answer I can give you. That.
This is a tough one. I get woken up every morning. I'm kept up every night by the noise. There's a lot of things I would really like to do, but none of them are legal. I have appreciated the way that Christine Bowles has worked at this, and I acknowledge you for it, and I appreciate it. I too like to tilt at windmills, and I was really glad to hear that question asked of our candidates, and I look forward to working with whichever one prevails to work on this issue. I love the idea of bringing everybody into a room, working together to try to address this issue, not just this issue, but any issue. And in fact, regardless of who wins here, I would like to offer to work with him on whatever area of concern it is, whether I win or lose. I would love to work together for the better of Pacifica. That's why we're all here.
Just to take and clear the air, I was given the question development of the quarry, but given the fact Greg is a city member of the Planning Commission and will have to make a vote, I think on Monday is decision day, isn't it? Or is it just on the agenda for discussion? I don't know. But anyhow, out of respect for... Right, but it's not, he can't really talk about it because he's going to have to do a vote, okay? Oh, thank you. Can you please share... Oh, actually, that already got that from Remy. Can you please share your vision and plan to help stabilize the economic future of Pacifica? So, right here first.
Give me 1 second here. I am very concerned about our 23% underfunded government running. I'm concerned about the future of Pacifica from a financial perspective. I do bring some experience to bear on working on both those nonprofit boards. Is it on this kind of level? No way. Do I look forward to that challenge? Absolutely. I think there are a number of ways that I've also demonstrated experience. I have a record working on the general plan. I have a record working on the Sharp Park specific plan in order to address bringing in both more property tax and more sales tax with the rejuvenation of our downtown. I've worked on the housing element, and we've located a number of sites on that where we have an opportunity to do additional mixed-use development, where we can bring in additionally, once again, more property tax, more choice for Pacificans in terms of bringing in more businesses, more options for restaurants, more stores, more services for what we want. But all that not only generates more sales tax revenue, but it gives us an opportunity for our visitors serving commercial spaces to bring in some more job opportunities for us here. It also gives us an opportunity to get some of those tourist sales tax dollars here. I am very much in favor of raising our TOT tax here from 12% to 15% to help try to address that. Like has been stated a number of times, Half Moon Bay has over 20 hotels. We have less than 10. That generates a lot of revenue. No wonder they have more money to do the projects we all care about down there than we do here. So we need to be smart about how we go ahead and do this. I've been doing this work on the Planning Commission, trying to do the best I can to support making Pacifica an economically viable place both now and into the future. Why shop over the hill? We should be able to do it right here.
Well, this happens to be one of my favorite subjects. Going back about 10 years, we worked on a really great group worked on this thing called the Pacifica Ocean Discovery Center. And the purpose, what makes that important, not so much the aquariums or whatever, but it gives Pacifica a destination. We need to be that, something that is generational and not just squeaking by all the time. When, if we do, say, have 40 whatever trucks rolling down the hill every day, every weekday, people aren't going to come here. And if those trucks are rolling down here for, say, the next 5 or 6 years, which is what they're claiming, that's going to leave everybody, like in Daly City, wherever visitors can come from, a very bad impression of Pacifica. Nobody's going to want to come here, and so anyways, that's one of the things. We need just a real identity, and nobody's worked on that identity. And so I think if I was elected, that would be my top priority, would be to establish that. So, thank you.
Okay, so Mark will go first for this one, is plan to fix the traffic on Highway 1.
Well, let's see here. The plan to fix the traffic on Highway 1. Well, I mean, I think some things are really tough. I'm not for widening it. I am for doing better with transportation. I think we really, really need to have transportation, good electrically powered transportation that goes over to the SAM car and the train station, so that people can go up and down. You know, I commuted from Burlingame, where I worked for almost 30 years, to here, and I mean, I experienced the worst of it all the time. But I don't know what the good example was. I mean, remember times where there was accidents, you know, in the hillside right by the quarry, and the roads were closed for 8 hours or something like that. And we have to, I think, start with those kinds of problems. And then as far as, the other ones, I mean, because if there were more opportunities for working here in Pacifica, we would be better off, but there aren't that many. So everybody, or the vast majority of people that are working, still have to commute, and that's what the major problem is right there. So whatever we could do to build a future here, I think would be the best way to solve that problem. Thanks.
As I'm sure many of you are aware, we have an F grade on Route 1. It's horrible. It's a challenge for all of us to deal with. I do think that we need to work on some cooperation, interagency cooperation. We need to speak with the Metropolitan Transit Commission. We need to work with the Association of Area Governments, City and County Association of Governments, SamTrans. We need to build relationships with Caltrans and improve that and get all these people together to try to address this issue. Get some expertise. I don't have those relationships as of yet, but my predecessor does, and I look forward to being able to lean on him and fellow city council members on how do we best address this together, because after all, just because we live in District 4, which doesn't touch Route 1, it doesn't mean that we don't represent everyone here in the room, regardless of what district you live in, and this is a problem for all of us, and it does need our attention. Thank you very much.
And this is a two-part question, but I'm going to ask them one at a time. What is your history in protecting our natural resources? Greg?
Well, let's see. I guess the Planning Commission counts a little bit. Let's talk about just something as simple as trees. Lately, you may have heard me at a few commission meetings talking about trying to make sure that we keep protections for the replacement trees when a heritage tree is removed. Also keeping a registry of where these things are so that 5 years later we don't run into this same kind of issue. And I'm sorry, but that's about all I have to say for right now. I can't really talk too much about too much of my work on the commission, but that's where my experience comes from.
So as long as I've lived here, I've been very active in protecting our resources. Let me start at where we are now. We have two programs. One of them is we go on what we call our Sea Star Safaris, which is to go out to the tide pools and check on the populations, the health of the populations of sea stars, and and tide pool, life out there. And we work with the San Francisco State University, and that was a program that I started pretty much, and me and this one guy over here, Jim. But that's really important. Just say, for now, let's say, what do we think about the quarry? Well, the quarry's going to take 40 truckloads, I guess, a day of untreated soil that could come from anywhere, and dump it in the quarry where it will roll down, still untested, into the creek. The creek runs out. We've already done testing as to where the creek, where things wash out and end up over in that area, and they end up right where the tide pools are. So if you really want to kill a bunch of stuff, go for the quarry. Develop the quarry. The other program that I worked on, and I was one of the people that started, is the steelhead population, the migrating steelhead population in the San Pedro Creek. And so we've really been doing a lot of work there to enhance that migration. And, with that population, we've been doing that for 3 years now. And we're sponsored, by the California Fish and Wildlife, NOAA, and the County Resource Board. So, and I was the one that instrumental in starting that program as well. So I think I have done a really good record of working on the environment here, because again, I believe that our environment is what will bring people here to spend money or to create opportunities for employment.
Second part of the question, what are your thoughts on ways to bring ecotourism to Pacifica?
I turn again? All right. Well, that was bringing ecotourism to Pacifica was the whole point in the Pacifica Ocean Discovery Center. And we did a lot of work. That went on for a long time, a lot of different people. And our goal was to put it over into the old sewage plant, right? But I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, because we want this thing to last long. But we had a lot of experts helping us with this. And, I look at it like this. When I grew up, you're in second grade, you take the big yellow buses and you go to the museum, in the city, right? Third grade, you go to science and industry. Next, you go to natural history. Then you go to this one. Then you go to this one. Those were field trips, and that's where we learned. And that's what I call a generational approach to this. If we do a learning center or a cultural center, any of those kinds of things here, I'd like to see them in the quarry myself, then we would have people coming here. We would have a positive brand in the minds of young people that Pacifica is a good place, and it would be a place that they could learn. And I think they'll bring their kids and families, and that goes on and on and on in many cities in this country. So I think that would be my best answer for that question.
Our single biggest asset sitting right out there. Beaches draw more tourism dollars than almost any other asset anywhere. I don't know if any of you have young children, if you've ever gone to any of those soccer tournaments up in Roseville or Davis or Sacramento in the summer. I had my daughter's cleats melt in Visalia. Climate change can actually, in a small way, almost be our friend by having it be so hot that all those people out there want to come here where it's nice and cool. Well, how do we support that? We support that through good policies, good planning, doing things like building hotels, having a smart short-term rental ordinance that actually serves the people of Pacifica as well as the outside community. When it comes down to the quarry, I feel like you need to know that I have a legal responsibility not to prejudge things. and I need to adhere to that duty. I take that responsibility very, very seriously. But I can tell you that I invite you to please review some of our previous meetings on this issue so you can have a better inkling of what some of my concerns and what my public position is on these issues. And I really do invite you all to come out on Monday. It would be great to see you all there. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the last prepared question we have, and then they'll each have 3 minutes to say a goodbye song. And then we do have to leave the room by 11:30 because they have another event after this. And if you want to have a parking lot meeting or golf league meeting or whatever, feel free to do that, okay? Also want to acknowledge probably one of the busiest people in the city right now is our city clerk, Sarah Coffey. Because all these candidates go through her and file all the paperwork, and election time is very busy because she still has her duties, agendizing minutes and everything else for city council meetings and everything else. So last question we have is, how will you protect hillsides from inappropriate development? And I think it's Greg's turn to go first, I think.
Well, we certainly do have a nice set of rules here and a lot of protections. Part of the reason that I moved here is because of our 50-50 ratio of outside space, all our scenic beauty. I'm blessed. I get to live on the top of a hill. I get to look out and I get to see all that beauty every single day. That's part of what made me fall in love with Pacifica. I think each and every one of us here care a great deal about that. I spend an inordinate amount of time, or at least I did before I needed a knee replacement, hiking on those trails. To this day, my wife still does. These are really important issues, and I think you can see through my work on the Planning Commission that we have identified sites with this state mandate, with the RENA numbers, on how it is that we were best trying to come up with the best locations for development that would be more appropriate. And I think that I can demonstrate through my experience and my record and my voting record on these kind of issues exactly how we can try as a city to steer development in a smart, Pacifica-serving way.
Well, I think that we have rules on that, and I think that the Planning Commission or whatever should follow those rules. And I think that, that's been the history of Pacifica for as long as I could, lived here. I mean, I've been involved in the speaking up at the various kinds of meetings, the commission meetings and all that about those things, and you look at the, just somebody took me out one time, a long time ago, and we were looking at the hillsides and that are preserved, and that was preserved from Daly City building all those little ticky-tack houses there. And somebody said, now this one was signed off by, the protections here were signed off by President whatever. This one, Jimmy Carter, whatever. All the way along those hillsides have been protected. And I think that we can continue to do that. We should continue to do that. And it nestles, it connects to the questions that have been coming up. How do we get more people to visit Pacifica? We have to protect those things if we want a tourism economy. And I don't think we have a choice between what economy we want. We're here in the ocean, we're separated from everybody. We need to have a tourism economy if we're going to be successful, period.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it. It's given us an opportunity to be able to say what we're for, and I'm glad that you've had that opportunity. I have been transitioning, just to tell you a little bit more about me, from more and more of an active income role to more and more of a volunteer or service-oriented role, and this is the next step. The job that I'm applying for is asking for the next step in that transition. I want to bring all that experience and judgment to bear to keep this community, the community that I fell in love with, that you fell in love with. I raised my daughter here. We started by riding horses here in the back of the valley. I miss Matt and April owning that ranch. I miss those times. My daughter got to attend surf camp here. She got to teach at surf camp here. I mean, growing up here is a very special way of life. She got to play soccer here. I just hope that somehow together we can all work to make sure that here is a place that she can afford to live and can afford to raise a family. And I look forward to working towards that goal. This is where we bought our first house. First house. Apartment living before that. First house here. This is where we laid down roots. This is where we wanted to live forever. I love the hiking and the natural beauty. The whale show has been incredible. I mean, you want to talk about bringing in tourism dollars? Whale TV. Now, because of all these benefits, I owe a debt. I owe Pacifica. I am so thankful for the opportunity that I have had here, and I want to continue to be able to pay that debt. There's a number of issues that I'd like to address once I'm on City Council. I'm very much in favor of a new community center. I see I have 1 minute left. I will speed it up. I'm looking forward to being solution-oriented to address the traffic problems. Maintaining and improving our streets is another big issue that I'm sure we're all familiar with. I want to protect our environment, the air, water, and yes, that includes our soil. I want to embrace the economic development challenge and develop relationships in order to be able to keep Pacifica, the Pacifica I fell in love with. Thank you very much for your time today. See you all Monday.
So, Mark, did you want to do your goodbye song?
Oh, you're not going to talk about it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
One of the things, I've been going door to door up in the back of the valley area, District 4, and I am really, really concerned about something, and this is a life or death issue, I think. But, so, pardon me if I'm looking at my notes, but, thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to speak up. Okay, so thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to speak up on this issue. So my name is Mark Hubbell. 37 years I've lived in the back of the valley. I bought my home there in '87. Thanks to the California Voting Rights Act also for forcing Pacifica to transition from at-large to district-based elections. I think that's a really, really big change. It's necessary, and because I can't even remember having representation back there before that happened. So I'm taking advantage of that. I am a future thinker, but one must understand the past to build a better future. 254 years ago, Fray Juan Crespi, Crespi all over the roads, right? He was a journalist that traveled with Portola and described the first sightings of the back of the valley. There was hundreds of controlled fires by the natives back there to burn the underbrush off, right? And save their people. And that went on for probably thousands of years. Okay, so now while the news warns us that each day, week, month, and year, we are breaking temperature records, many decades later, the thick brown, highly combustible underbrush that we see back there accumulates beneath the bright red poison oak. It's clearly visible on the hillsides. In spite of what you may have heard, there have been wildfires in BOV, and a couple of them were pretty, scary. One in particular in the 1980s was large enough to require extinguishment by large aircraft, spraying that red stuff down. And it also created a temperature inversion, which many people became ill. And so everybody either stayed home, went somewhere, or something for that. Yeah, I've been hospitalized for breathing smoke from burning poison oak. There's nothing worse. Fortunately, I was young, so I survived. Most residents of B of A are not young. Would they survive? 2 years ago, our city, Pacifica, submitted to the San Mateo County Hazard Survey. The chance of wildfires in Pacifica are less than the threat of dams breaking. Pacifica has no dams. Citizens are losing insurance. Will their homes be next? We must do better.
Okay. Did you want to shake hands? Be civil here, please. Okay, so I'm kind of considering that like the wrap up from both of you, unless you feel. Oh, okay, all right, good, Mark. Thank you. So anyhow, I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the meeting, and I want to thank everybody because we will be out of here by 11:30.